A BATNA comes in handy because if you do get to a point with good reason where you're at the minimum target you're prepared to accept, but knowing it's reasonable to move further, and that does happen, you can call on the BATNA, tell the other side you need time out, and then go talk to your boss and say, we're at the BATNA, these are the reasons, but the deal we have here is our best alternative to a negotiated agreement was you and I getting together so I can explain where we're at, and so we can together agree a way forward for the benefit of this deal and for the benefit of the long-term relationship with these valuable people on the other side. It just makes sense. One more point on preparation that I covered in the conference is to prepare in a manner which looks at the maximum, minimum and target that you want, but also looks at the maximum, minimum and target of the other side. Now, why have I inverted that? Well, obviously we want the maximum for the other side in monetary terms from a tactical perspective to be well away from what we're aiming for ourselves. Now, in this situation here, we have an overlap between the minimum that the other side wants or that we think they'll take and the minimum that we're prepared to accept. And because we have an overlap between those things, we have what we call a negotiation range. Because we have a negotiation range, we can immediately begin the negotiation with a hope and a fairly good trust that it will come to a successful conclusion. On this case, however, we've got our position here with our minimum and their minimum here, and there is no range. There is a gap between the two. Where there is a gap between the two, there is no chance of a solution on that basis. And the only thing that should be being negotiated in the early stage of that scenario is a way of creating an overlap. And we do that by saying to ourselves, up till now we've been going for a bigger slice of the pie, and that's not working. There's no overlap and there's no deal. If there's no deal, there's no business. If there's no business, there's the loss of the opportunity to form a great relationship for future business. So therefore, we've got to stop looking for a bigger slice of this pie and working the other side. We have to start working with them to create a bigger pie so that if we get the same size slice from a bigger pie, we're still doing pretty well. So if there is no negotiation range, if there's no perceived overlap between your position and that of the other side, the only thing that should be the subject of negotiation is creating an overlap by looking at the bigger pie. It's never just about money. There are so many other issues you can enter into a negotiation: long-term dealing, special benefits, value adds, and I'm presuming that people know that, and we're dealing with the more complex aspects of negotiation in this topic here. Now, let's move on. Once we've determined all these things, and we've done our preparation looking at power bases and things like that, this is one more topic I'd say. In business, strategy should drive everything. And yet so often we see that tactics drives and strategy comes second. So it is in negotiation. As I said, there's an ebook there for you. And in fact, anybody who didn't even attend the conference or couldn't attend my session, feel free to email me at info@alanpatching, ALANPATCHING.com, and just mention negotiation ebook, and I'd be happy to send you a free copy of it. That's Alan Patching, info@alanpatching.com. Just put ebook in the title and I'd be happy to send you one. In fact, I'll send anybody who wants it a couple of other ebooks about leadership and things like that that I've written. Now, the strategic focus in the negotiation and the events and meetings and events industry, I believe, should be about relationship, ongoing relationship. So everything we do in that negotiation should be about that. So we need the tactics and all that, but never ever lose focus on the big picture, on the strategy. Now, before we go in to talk about what happens in the room, let's talk about one more aspect of negotiation I find vitally and crucially important, and that's what I call the mental preparation. And there's two things in mental preparation I suggest you do. I work with athletes and business presenters on these things all the time. The first one is simply what I call get yourself into an up-trance state. Now, I borrowed that term from my friend Keith Livingston in the United States, but it's a great term, the up-trance state. So how do you do that? If most of us talk about trance, we talk about relaxing down, and it's great for stress control and all that stuff. But we don't want to be in a negotiation with ourselves off at the pixies in stress relief mode. No, we want to be bright in the moment, picking up all the subliminal messages around the place so we can deal with it effectively. The way to do that is before each negotiation, take the time, inside the office, outside in nature, it doesn't really matter, of just getting your eyes to focus on a particular point. Focus on it intently. And that's what most of us do when we focus intently. But now allow that focus to soften so that while you maintain focus on a particular point, you become aware of more and more detail in your peripheral vision, not just from side to side, but also vertically. So horizontally, vertically, on the diagonals, peripherally in every direction. Allow yourself to focus on that one point and allow yourself, as you maintain that focus, to slowly become aware, without moving the focus point, to the things in your peripheral vision. If you do this exercise once or twice a day, it's a great stress relief, relaxation exercise as well, by the way, you'll eventually be able to cover a very, very large peripheral vision quite effectively. Secondly, do it with sound. Do it with sound. Just close your eyes and listen. What are the loud sounds I can hear? What are the quiet ones? What are the midtones? What are the sounds in front? What are the sounds behind? What's the sounds that very, very, very close and loud? Further away and loud, close and quiet, a long way away and quiet. Get your mind around all different aspects of these sounds. Finally, just go inside and consider your feelings. What's the most relaxed part of your body at that moment? And allow that relaxation to spread to other parts of your body. By doing this simple exercise, you'll find when you actually go into the negotiation room, you'll focus on the subject, not worrying on the matters or worrying about the matters you're concerned about on the way to the office. And secondly, your capacity to pick up detail quickly at the subconscious level will be increased manyfold, and that will make you a better negotiation, and that of course makes you a better winner of business, which is important because negotiation means more business in the meetings and events industry. And let's face it, these meetings mean business for us. Okay, let's move along. As we go into the negotiation, let's talk a little bit about power. And again, I'm sticking to the presentation that I did at MEA, and we mentioned two things. One, in the sort of negotiation we'd like to do in the events industry, we have to be careful we're not seen to be using coercive power, the power of force, if you like, levering people into positions they can't move from. And it's such a common approach to negotiation, and to a certain extent it shows a very great lack of skill in terms of understanding human behaviour. The use of human behaviour skills will leave those sort of powers for dead any day of the week. They're roughshod ways, they're what we call aggressive behaviour quite often. We'll cover one aspect of this in just a little while, so I'll leave it. So there's a place where you have to be firm and assertive for sure, but using aggressive, coercive power simply will force the other person into a reactive state where they start using the same tools back, and that's hardly the basis for good relationship. We've got to also be careful not to submit to some coercive power from the other side, which is another point I made at the conference. Remember the scene of Forrest Gump running away from the car, people throwing things at them? At least he had the sense to run when he was under pressure. We tend to just stay there and stew. No, we don't have to be a doormat in negotiations. A doormat in a relationship doesn't make it a good relationship. It makes it a quiet relationship for the moment, but one that's not going to be going too far. The sort of relationship we want is an assertive relationship, one in which we use our skills of communication to actually get the other side to want to give us what we want. Now, it's very difficult to go through all those skills on this tape in a summary, but I'll go through some of them in just a little minute. We want the other side to really, three things I think in a negotiation and ourselves. One, to stick to the deal we've come to and quite enjoy it. Secondly, to call us to tune if we don't and be open to us calling them to account if they don't stick to the arrangement. And thirdly, we want to do it on a basis that we always want to do business again. That's that relationship factor. Now, I gave a case study on the Olympic Stadium. I won't repeat that here because it is a little lengthy to be giving in a tape which is intended to be about 15 minutes or so, or maybe up to 25 minutes as maximum. But we'll move on.